My husband looked me in the eyes and said, "I don't even know who you are anymore." All because I accepted one friend request from the roommate he trusted me with in college. Now he's asking if our entire marriage was built on a lie. And the worst part? I can't even say no with a straight face. I'm Becky, 35, and I've been with my husband Josh since we were 21. College sweethearts. That whole cute story everyone loves hearing at dinner parties. But there's this whole other side nobody knows about. Well, Josh knows now. God, the look on his face when I finally told him. Back in college, Josh was this super sweet, kind of shy guy. Not exactly Mr. Popular, but exactly what I thought I wanted: stable, reliable, treated me like a princess. He was literally the second guy I ever dated. And yeah, we lost our virginities to each other. I used to think that was so special. And Josh definitely did. He'd always get this proud little smile whenever it came up around friends, like we had this pure thing nobody else had. He was studying engineering, always buried in textbooks, while I was doing communications. We'd meet between classes, study together in the library, do all those cutesy couple things that make everyone else roll their eyes. Everything changed senior year when Josh moved in with Lamar. Talk about opposites. Lamar was everything Josh wasn't, in this super popular fraternity, filthy rich parents who paid for everything, threw the best parties. Everyone wanted to be around him, girls especially. There were always rumors about how he was, really well equipped. I pretended I wasn't interested in all that gossip, acted like I was above it. Josh loved that about me, how I wasn't like other girls falling over Lamar. He'd tell his friends, "Becky's different. She sees through guys like Lamar." And I'd smile and nod, playing the role of the mature girlfriend. Truth is, I was curious. Like, really curious. Every time some girl at a party would whisper about hooking up with Lamar, I'd act disgusted but secretly hang on every word. Was it really that impressive? Was he really that good? I started finding excuses to stop by their dorm when I knew Josh had that long chemistry lab on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Started wearing cuter outfits those days too, but told myself it was just because I had more time to get ready those mornings, just dropping off Josh's textbook or just needed to borrow his notes, whatever would sound normal. Lamar always answered the door with this knowing smile that made my stomach flip. He'd invite me in, and I'd sit there pretending I was just waiting for Josh while we talked. He flirted constantly, and I pretended to be annoyed but loved every second of attention from this guy all the other girls wanted. Sometimes he'd accidentally sit too close on the couch or find reasons to touch my arm when making a point. I never moved away. I told myself I was just being friendly with my boyfriend's roommate. Normal stuff, right? Except normal doesn't include the way my heart raced whenever he'd accidentally brush against me, or how I started dressing cuter on days I knew Josh wouldn't be there. I wasn't planning anything bad, I swear. It just felt nice to have someone like Lamar interested in boring old me. To feel desired by someone so different from Josh, someone exciting. The first time anything happened, I convinced myself it was a mistake. Lamar had been drinking, said something about how Josh didn't deserve a girl like me, and next thing I know, we're kissing. I pushed him away and left, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. That night with Josh, I felt so guilty but also excited, like I had this secret thrill running through me. I should have stopped visiting when Josh wasn't around after that. But I didn't. Josh never suspected a thing. Sweet, trusting Josh, who thought I was just being nice to his roommate. Instead, I started showing up more. I'd text Josh from the library saying I was studying late, then head straight to his dorm knowing Lamar would be there alone. We'd talk for hours, and he'd tell me all these wild stories about his hookups, his family's vacation homes, all this stuff that was so different from my basic life with Joshua. It made me feel special that someone like him wanted me around. Sometimes he'd play music I'd never heard before, introduce me to fancy drinks his parents shipped him, show me a whole different world. I kept telling myself nothing serious was happening. Just talking, just flirting. Josh never had to know because it didn't mean anything. But I knew exactly what I was doing every time I knocked on that door when Josh wasn't home. I just didn't want to admit it to myself. I'd check my makeup in my compact mirror right before knocking. Who was I kidding? Looking back now, I see how I was setting everything up, putting myself in these situations where something could happen, and then acting surprised when it did. I wasn't some innocent victim here. But that's not how I saw it then. I saw myself as this good girlfriend who just happened to be in over her head with this irresistible guy who kept pursuing me. Way easier than admitting I was actively seeking him out, right? What's really messed up is how I compartmentalized everything. With Josh, I was this perfect, loyal girlfriend. With Lamar, I was this whole other person, flirty, adventurous, willing to take risks. I guess part of me liked having that secret side Josh never saw. Makes me wonder if I ever really let Josh know me at all. The first time it happened for real was about a month after the kissing. I showed up wearing this cute little outfit, knowing Josh wouldn't be back for hours. Lamar answered the door in just basketball shorts, no shirt, like he'd been working out. I still remember how dry my mouth got. We were sitting on his bed watching some stupid movie when he just straight up asked if I'd ever seen what everyone was talking about. Just like that. I played dumb at first, but we both knew exactly what he meant. I told myself I was just going to look. Seriously, that's what I said in my head, I'll just see if the rumors are true and that's it. But one thing led to another, and before I knew it, I was doing something I had barely even done with Josh. The rush was insane. Not just because of, well, the obvious, but because it was forbidden, because it was Lamar, because I knew I shouldn't, because it felt like I was living some alternate universe version of my life for just a little while. Afterward, I swore it would never happen again. I cried in the shower that night, feeling like the worst girlfriend ever. Josh texted me about how much he loved me while I was literally washing away evidence. I typed back I love you too, and meant it, which is the most twisted part. I really did love Joshua, still do. That's what makes this whole thing so confusing. It wasn't about not loving Josh enough. It was about wanting something else alongside that love, something exciting, dangerous, different. But then Tuesday came around again, and there I was, knocking on their door. It became almost routine. Josh's lab days turned into my secret time with Lamar. Sometimes we just talked and hung out, which almost made it worse, like we were actually dating or something, but usually it ended the same way. I got weirdly good at switching between the two of them. I'd have lunch with Josh, all innocent and sweet, then be with Lamar hours later, then meet Josh for dinner like nothing happened. Sometimes Josh would talk about Lamar, about something funny he said or did, and I'd nod and smile like I didn't have these secret moments with him. I never let Lamar do anything beyond oral stuff. That was my line. In my messed up logic, that meant I wasn't really cheating. Cheating. Ridiculous, right? But that's how I justified it. We never had actual sex became my mental get-out-of-jail-free card, like that would make Josh hurt any less if he found out. And honestly, I think Lamar liked that arrangement too. No strings, no real relationship responsibilities, just fun when Josh wasn't around. We never talked about feelings or futures. It was just physical. Just this secret little world we created twice a week while Josh was in lab. The weirdest part? I started getting almost resentful of Josh, like it was somehow his fault that I was sneaking around. I'd think things like, if he were more exciting, like Lamar, I wouldn't need this. So backwards. I was creating this whole narrative where I was unsatisfied, when really, Josh was exactly who I signed up for. I was just greedy, wanting both the stable, loving guy and the thrill of someone forbidden. Sometimes I get irritated with Josh for being so predictable, so steady. The very things I claimed to love about him. Poor guy had no idea why I'd suddenly get moody for no reason. When graduation came around, Lamar and I just stopped. No big dramatic ending. He was moving to New York for some fancy finance job his dad set up. I was staying local with Joshua. We kind of nodded at each other at graduation like it had been fun. But now it was over. I threw myself into building a future with Josh like nothing had happened. We moved in together, got engaged a year later, had this beautiful wedding where I genuinely felt like the luckiest girl alive. I convinced myself college was college. Everyone does stupid things, right? That chapter was closed for 10 whole years. I never thought about it. Okay, that's a lie. I thought about it sometimes, but I buried those thoughts deep. Josh and I built a good life. We've got 2 kids now, a mortgage, the whole suburban dream package. He's been the perfect husband, honestly. Steady job, helps with the kids, still brings me coffee in bed sometimes. I've had a decade to appreciate that Josh was always the right choice. The stability, the partnership, the family we've created. Lamar could never have given me that. And I was happy with my choice. Really, I was. But then last month, this friend request pops up on Facebook. Lamar. My heart practically stopped. His profile picture showed him looking even better than college, obviously rich, still in amazing shape, living in some fancy downtown condo. I told myself I was just being polite when I accepted it. Just curiosity about what an old friend was up to. It's not like I was planning to do anything inappropriate, just catching up with someone from my past. I didn't tell Josh about it. Not because I was planning anything shady, but because, well, how do you casually mention accepting a friend request from the guy whose anatomy you were intimately familiar with behind your husband's back? So I kept it to myself, just scrolled through his photos when Josh wasn't around. Vacation pics in Bali, some charity gala where he's in a tux, a new sports car with a dealership bow still on it. His life looked exactly like I imagined it would. Glamorous, exciting, free, everything my suburban mom life wasn't. I told myself I was just window shopping, not actually considering buying. Then the private messages started. Lamar messaged first, "Hey stranger. Long time." Something so simple shouldn't have made my heart race like that. Before I knew it, we were messaging daily. Started innocent enough, catching up on life. But it didn't take long before he brought up our study sessions. That's what we used to call them, as our little inside joke. He asked if I ever told Josh. I said no. He said he wasn't surprised. There was this rush of being back in that secret world again, like no time had passed at all. I found myself checking Facebook constantly, waiting for his messages, coming up with excuses to be on my phone, making sure to delete the message history every time, planning my replies when I should have been focusing on work or the kids. I told myself it was harmless nostalgia, just 2 old friends reconnecting. But I was lying to myself again, just like in college. There were moments when the kids were asking me questions and I barely heard them because I was thinking about what to say to Lamar. Josh would talk about his day, and I'd nod along while my mind was elsewhere. I was physically present but mentally cheating all over again. Josh noticed. Of course he did. He's always been more observant than I give him credit for. You're on Facebook a lot lately, he said one night while we were getting ready for bed, casual but his eyes were suspicious. I brushed it off. Said something about reconnecting with old college friends. Technically not a lie, right? But I started being more careful, only checking messages when he wasn't around, waiting until he was in the shower or had taken the kids to soccer practice. Just like in college, I was creating these little pockets of secrecy within our marriage. Then Josh walked in while I was messaging Lamar one night. I had stayed up late, told him I was just catching up on some show. Really, I was waiting for him to go to bed so I could message Lamar freely, but he came back downstairs for water and there I was, smiling at my laptop screen. I panicked and closed the laptop, which was the most guilty thing I could have done. Josh isn't stupid. He asked who I was talking to that I needed to hide. We had our first real fight in years. I deflected, got defensive, accused him of not trusting me, the whole time thinking how ironic it was that his suspicions were completely justified. I actually had the nerve to tell him he was being insecure and controlling, gaslighting him when he was absolutely right. The next morning, he apologized for overreacting. I felt like garbage. Here he was saying sorry when I was the one messaging an old hookup behind his back. I promised myself I'd stop. Delete Lamar, focus on my marriage. I really meant it this time. I even typed out this long message to Lamar explaining I couldn't talk anymore, but I never sent it. Kept it in drafts, telling myself I was just waiting for the right moment. But the right moment never came because I didn't really want it to. But I didn't stop. The rush was too addictive. The secrecy, the little hit of excitement every time a new message came in. Sometimes I'd catch myself thinking about how things might have been different if I'd chosen Lamar instead. Ridiculous fantasy stuff about the life I could have had. Traveling the world, fancy parties, none of the boring responsibility that comes with real adult life. Not that I'd ever actually want that life full time. I love my kids, our home, the life we've built. But there was something intoxicating about dipping my toe back into what could have been, even if just through messages. Then Lamar suggested meeting up for coffee since he was going to be in our area for business. For old time's sake, he said. I said yes immediately. No hesitation. Even started planning what I'd wear, what excuse I'd give Joshua. That's when it hit me how far down this rabbit hole I'd gone again. History repeating itself. Only this time with so much more at stake. Not just a college relationship, but a marriage, a family, a whole life we'd spent a decade building. I deleted the message but didn't cancel. Told Josh I was meeting an old college girlfriend. Got all dressed up, perfume, the works. But as I was backing out of the driveway, Josh was standing there with my phone in his hand. I'd left it unlocked on the counter while getting ready. The blood drained from my face. I knew exactly what he'd seen. All the messages, all the reminiscing about study sessions, all the planning to meet up behind his back, everything. Who's Lamar? He asked, his voice so quiet it scared me. Not yelling, not accusing, just broken. That's when everything fell apart. 10 years of marriage crumbling because I couldn't leave the past in the past, because I needed that thrill again, because apparently I learned nothing from the first time around. I tried denying it first, said he was just an old friend from a study group. Josh didn't buy it. Asked why I was being secretive, why the messages were so flirty. He scrolled through more, his face getting darker with each swipe. Seems like you two have history I don't know about. He kept reading bits of messages aloud, asking what they meant, what study sessions was code for, why Lamar asked if I ever told my husband about them. My excuses sounded pathetic even to my own ears. I broke down, told him about accepting the friend request, the messages, planning to meet up, but stopped short of the college stuff. Call it self-preservation or cowardice, but I couldn't bring myself to destroy everything with the full truth. Not yet. I tried to paint it as just harmless flirting that got out of hand. That I got caught up in nostalgia but never intended to do anything, that it was just nice to feel desired by someone from my past. All technically true but nowhere near the whole story. But Josh kept pushing. Said he knew there was more to it. Something about the way Lamar wrote to me, too familiar, inside jokes he didn't understand. He asked point blank if something happened between us in college. If Lamar and I had history before now. His eyes were so hurt, so confused. In that moment, I realized just how much damage I'd done. Not just now, but by keeping this secret for our entire relationship. I tried the partial truth. He kissed me once, I said. I pushed him away and nothing else happened. The lie tasted bitter in my mouth, but I was desperate to minimize the damage, to find some way out that wouldn't destroy everything we had. I actually thought I could still manage this, still control the narrative somehow. Josh just stared at me. That look, I'll never forget it. Like he was seeing a stranger wearing his wife's face. You're lying, he said. Not a question, a statement. Tell me everything. Now. So it came out. Not all at once. I tried to minimize at first. Okay, maybe we fooled around a little. Then, seeing his face harden, fine. I gave him oral a couple times. Josh just kept staring, waiting for more. It wasn't serious. It didn't mean anything. It was just physical curiosity. Each admission felt like ripping off a layer of the person Josh thought I was, the devoted girlfriend, the faithful wife, the honest partner. All facades crumbling with every word. How many times? He asked, his voice eerily calm. I said I couldn't remember exactly. Such a cop-out. Of course I remembered. Every single time. But saying about 15 separate occasions over 4 months seemed so much worse than I don't remember. It was so long ago, I tried to emphasize how young I was, how it was college experimentation, how everybody does stupid things at that age, as if that somehow made betraying him while he was in class any better. Josh went completely silent, then asked the question I was dreading. Did you sleep with him? I told him, no. Never. And that was actually true. That was my line, the thing that let me tell myself I wasn't really cheating. Josh didn't seem to find much comfort in that distinction. His face showed nothing but disgust and pain. I reached for him, but he stepped back like my touch would burn him. Let me get this straight, he said. You were regularly giving oral to my roommate behind my back while we were together, the same thing you rarely do for me, even now, after 10 years of marriage. That's when it hit me. I hadn't connected those dots before, not consciously, anyway. It was true. I'd been enthusiastic with Lamar in ways I almost never was with Joshua, not because I desired Josh less, but because, I don't know, maybe because with Josh it was a relationship with expectations and futures and feelings. With Lamar, it was just physical. No strings, no judgment. I'd somehow reserved that part of myself from the man I claimed to love the most. What did that say about me? About us? But trying to explain that would only make things worse. So I cried instead. Said I was young and stupid. Said it was college experimentation, said it meant nothing, and that's why I never told him, all the classic excuses. But even as the tears fell, I knew they weren't entirely genuine. They were partly for show, partly manipulation, partly genuine regret, but mostly regret for being caught rather than for what I'd done. If Josh hadn't found those messages, I'd still be planning to meet Lamar for coffee and who knows what else. Did he know about us? Josh asked suddenly. What do you mean? Of course he knew we were together. No, Josh said. Did he know what you were doing with me? Did you talk about me to him? I couldn't answer that, because the truth was yes. Sometimes Lamar would ask, and sometimes I'd tell him. Sometimes we'd laugh about it. God, saying that out loud would be the final nail. So I just stood there, unable to look Josh in the eye, and my silence told him everything he needed to know. Josh walked out of the room, and I heard the spare bedroom door close. He slept there that night and the next 5 days now, barely speaking to me except about essential household stuff in front of the kids, keeping up appearances for them, but treating me like a stranger when they're not looking. Every night I wait for him to come to bed, but he never does. I canceled meeting Lamar and blocked him on everything. Too little, too late. But what else could I do? I've apologized probably 50 times, reminded Josh it was over a decade ago, that I've been faithful ever since, that I chose him, built a life with him. I've tried everything, crying, reasoning, even getting angry that he can't get past ancient history. I've pointed out how good our marriage has been, how happy we've been all these years. Asked if he's really going to throw it all away over something that happened before we were even engaged. But I see how he looks at me now, like I'm contaminated, like every memory we've built is suddenly suspect. Yesterday he asked me something that broke my heart. Had I kept in touch with Lamar all these years? Was this really the first time we'd reconnected? I was telling the truth when I said yes, but the fact that he even had to ask killed me. Then he asked if there were others I hadn't told him about. There weren't. But again, the question itself showed just how completely the trust is gone. He's questioning everything now, re-examining our entire history through this new lens. The worst part? I still don't fully get why he's this upset. Yes, I messed up majorly. But it was just physical stuff, not an affair. It was in college, for God's sake, when everyone does stupid things. And it was so long ago. I chose him. I married him, had his children, built a whole life around us. Doesn't that count for anything? I'm starting to wonder if our marriage can survive this, not because of what happened in college, but because of how Josh is reacting now. I mean, is he really going to throw away a decade of marriage, our children, our home, everything we've built, over something I did when we were practically kids? Part of me thinks if he really loved me, he'd find a way to forgive me. To see that the good in our marriage outweighs one stupid mistake from my past, that the present matters more than ancient history. Part of me thinks he's being unreasonable. Another part knows I've never really seen the full weight of what I did through his eyes. To him, it's not just that I cheated. It's that I lied for our entire relationship. Built our marriage on a foundation that wasn't fully honest. Let him believe I was someone I wasn't, and then compounded it all by reconnecting with Lamar now, showing him that maybe I haven't changed as much as I thought I had. But still, people make mistakes, especially college kids. If he really loved me, shouldn't he be able to forgive this? Or at least try? Yesterday I overheard him on the phone with his brother, talking about not being able to look at me the same way, like I'm suddenly a different person because of something that happened when we were 21. I wanted to grab the phone and scream that I'm still me, still the woman he married, still the mother of his children. That one mistake doesn't erase everything else I am. I don't know what's going to happen to us. I want to save our marriage, but I can't force Josh to see this my way. Can't make him understand that it was meaningless physical stuff, not some grand betrayal. Can't make him grasp that the girl who did those things isn't really me anymore. Or at least I thought she wasn't until Lamar's friend request made her come rushing back so easily. If he would just talk to me instead of shutting down, maybe we could work through this. But he won't even try. Just keeps saying he needs space to process. How much space does one person need? It's been almost a week. At some point, he has to decide if our marriage is worth fighting for, right? He can't just hide in the spare bedroom forever. We have kids who are starting to ask questions about why daddy's sleeping in the other room, why mommy's been crying, why the house feels so tense. I made a mistake, a big one. But I'm not going to spend the rest of my life paying for it. If Josh can't move past this, then maybe we weren't as strong as I thought we were. Maybe we're just two people who've been living in a fantasy, and now reality is crashing down around us. All those perfect family photos on Facebook. All those anniversary posts about soulmates and forever. Maybe they were just pretty lies we told ourselves and everyone else. All because of a stupid Facebook friend request, and something that happened a lifetime ago. It's not fair. None of this is fair, to him, to me, to our kids. I just want my life back. Want to erase the last month and go back to when things were simple. Before Lamar, before the truth, before Josh looked at me like I was a stranger.